the people that are excellent at their craft all use coaches. And think about coaches as your GPS, right? You're going to get from point A to point B eventually if you have the dedication and the determination to do it.
I didn't even realize I had some my own blind spots when it came to my health, and I hired a coach.
We don't lose. We win and learn.
You can't read the label when you're inside the jar.
We want deeper relationships with our clients. We want quality over quantity.
Make sure you ask the client exactly what they want so that you can give them what they want. This is Curtis McCullom with the Curtis McCullom Show, where we delve into the mindsets of top CEOs and entrepreneurs and founders actually around the world to kind of share with you what it takes to be and become the best version of yourself. Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs and founders and entrepreneurs kind of eliminate those blind spots. Those things that have been dragging around since childhood, those blocks that has been keeping you from reaching your full potential. So if you feel like a little stuck and you're like something's holding you back, don't wait. Please schedule a free clarity call with me today using the link below. Let's uncover what's actually standing in your way and get you moving forward. And by the way, if you're enjoying this show, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more people who are ready to transform their lives. This morning, I have in studio Chris Picciurro. Is a fantastic tax professional. Not only a fantastic tax professional, but he's a fantastic human being. So he's going to share a little bit about his journey, who he is, and what he does, and also he want to share probably a little bit about some tax strategies. But we want to know the man, the Chris, who basically has become a successful entrepreneur, and is a podcaster, is now currently in the process of writing his book. So, Chris, welcome to the show, man.
Curtis, it's an honor to be on the show. I am a subscriber and a fan of your show. And, I think that with mindset coaching and, we've got to remember that the people that are excellent at their craft all use coaches, right? I mean, basketball, football players. I want people to think about this. It's kind of hit me this morning that I'm old enough to remember. I'm old enough to remember before you went on a trip, you would go to AAA and then make that trip tick, and you'd be flipping it around, and they'd say, "Oh, a high enforcement area. Oh, you're going through Atlanta. You got to drive around it." I grew up in Detroit, but guess what we have now, everyone? Something called a GPS. And think about coaches as your GPS, right? You're going to get from point A to point B eventually if you have the dedication and the determination to do it. However, wouldn't you like it? Wouldn't you like having someone guide you? You're still doing it, but why not take that help, Curtis?
Yeah, man, I'm here with you because even for me, and we're going to get to your journey in a second, but I like that segue. Even for me this year, I love to stay fit. I want to make sure that I have the energy and the passion and the movements for my clients. And even though I was doing the right things, I thought I was doing the right things. I was eating right. I was working out. I was doing 10,000 steps, working out 3 days a week. And I didn't even realize I had my own blind spots when it came to my health. And I hired a coach. Matt Collins. You can look him up here on LinkedIn. Matt Collins is my coach. And just with his understanding of the body. Now, guess what? Like you said before, I still have to do the work. I still had to get up 3 days a week and work out. I still have to continue to eat right and eat better. But the results that I got with him has been phenomenal. So I'm totally with you. Sometimes we don't realize what we don't know. We don't even know what we don't know sometimes. And that's definitely a coach or someone who can look at it on the outside can actually be an assistance to it. It's that same thing with taxes, Right. People don't even know what they don't know when it comes to taxes. And being a past life of mine, I was a certified financial planner, so I understand the concept of it. But obviously you are a consummate professional and expert in that area, which is so important that you're expert in that area. But Chris, kind of share with the audience a little bit about Chris, man, I mean, first of all, let me tell you, you're looking good today, man. That green jacket is popping with
Thank
that
you.
white coat, man. I'm like, yeah, I had to throw my coat on because I was going to just go without the coat. And when I saw you, man, I said, no way, man. Chris is looking too good today. So kind of share with the audience a little bit about your journey, man. How did you become who you are now?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. And anyone listening, I'm going to let you know a secret. I did my hair today. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you know the truth. Uh, and with coaching, I mean, and then definitely going to jump into some history. But I feel like with coaching, when you hit that, when you get started, to not get into bad habits, it's great to have a coach. But Curtis, like you. And I've had, in health and in wellness and everything, when you hit a plateau, you need someone to boost you past that plateau. But ultimately you've got to do it. So, honored to be on the show. Yep. I'm very blessed to be in the position that I'm in. Hit a big milestone this year, hit 50 in January 2025. I don't know. So I know some people don't take it well. Honestly, I feel happy to be alive. I feel happy to be a father, a person of faith, a husband, a business owner, and someone that tries to give more than I receive. And I've been blessed with the ability to understand numbers and finance. And I've been working on taking that and maximizing it and making connections for people to legally and ethically reduce the tax they pay in their lifetime. Now, coming up to this, I grew up just outside of Detroit. I was born in Garden City, Detroit, lived in Harper Woods and Mount Clemens. Right. So we're east side, little bit of east side of Detroit. And then settled in Clinton Township, where I grew up. I spent about 40 years in the Detroit area, and then about 9 years ago, my wife and actually about 10 and a half years ago, my wife and I decided, you know what, we want to find the best place in the country to raise our children within some parameters and just what we're looking for. And luckily, we found Franklin, Tennessee, which is about 15 miles to 18 miles south of downtown Nashville. We've been here for about 9 years. It took a little while to make that happen, and we feel really fortunate. But looking back, and as I think about this, Curtis, that was a huge risk, right? Like, we didn't have people from our family really moving out of the county we lived in. Still have tons of friends and family in the Detroit area, but that shift, that chance that we took really paid off because we are truly enjoying being here. But that all started from before, right? You've got to take calculated risks in life, in my opinion. And you've got to bet on yourself. If you can't bet on yourself, then who can you rely on? And, So growing up in the Detroit area, kind of my entrepreneurial journey started when I was in a young teen. I was fortunate enough to become a Detroit newspaper boy. Now, some of you, what is a newspaper? You know what? We used to read newspapers, and it was great. We'd spread them all over the kitchen table and have our cereal and maybe block our siblings from seeing us with those cereal boxes. And we'd take silly putty and put them over the funnies and all that just stuff. But anyway, but being a Detroit newspaper boy in my early teens really molded my entrepreneurial spirit and an understanding of business. My parents instilled a lot of hard work in me and laid a great foundation for showing me what a healthy relationship was and leaning on our faith and leaning on hard work and delivering something to people. Now, be it a newspaper, but delivering something to people that really mattered to them, that was important to them. And it started when I got that paperboy job. Is the first thing my mom made me do is she said, you've got to go to all of your customers and ask them where they want their paper. Again, people, I know this sounds crazy, but think about that. Where do they want their newspaper? Don't just throw it on the bottom or at the end of their driveway when, a third of the year it could be covered in snow in Detroit. Right. If they want, take the extra 15 feet because I'm going to work on tips, right? Not just, I feel like so many of entrepreneurs out there and business owners, we have something that's really, really great that people could use, but it's about the delivery. Are we delivering it to someone? So that taught me how to deliver something the way someone wants it. And it also taught me I had to be the accounts receivable. Now, here's the funny thing. I was thinking about this the other day. Back then, I would knock on people's doors and have to collect money from them, cash.
Right.
People read the paper. I would deliver the papers after school because there was no internet. So if you wanted to know if our beloved Detroit Tigers won a game and the game was late the night before, it wasn't going to be in the 6 a.m. edition of the paper. It was going to be in like the 1 p.m. edition. Wow. But I had to learn how to do that. I had to pay wholesale for the papers in advance of collecting the money. So back in the day, you knock on people's doors to collect money. I learned quickly, especially in a very, very blue-collar area outside of Detroit, I collected Friday nights because that's when people got paid. That's when they had cash in their pocket. If they weren't home Friday, and I knew a lot of our community had an Italian heritage, I went out Sunday night because as growing up in a Sicilian family, Sunday night was family dinner night. So I would definitely show up back at the house if I didn't get my money on Friday and try to collect on Sunday night. But that really taught me a lot. Now today, Today I was thinking about this with our kids because I've got 16, 15, and 11-year-olds right now. I would back in those days, you would knock on people's doors, strangers' doors to try to collect money. And your parents told you to never go in a stranger's car, right? That's right. Right. Well, now if someone knocks on your door, you don't answer the door, and you're looking at your ring doorbell or whatever, saying, "Who in the heck's knocking on my door?" But we'll jump in a stranger's car to take a Uber ride anywhere. Just weird. But think about, we've got to adapt, right? So if you're mentality-wise, so we're working backwards, starting those entrepreneurial thoughts back then, growing on the hard work, and realizing that I did love numbers and finance, and I felt like I had an ability to connect with people, to meet them where they are, to deliver what they want, and to solve problems. And then that obviously led me to become to go to college, to become a CPA. And I started my own CPA practice at age 27. So that was pretty cool. However, I didn't know what laid ahead of me and the path that I made some operational mistakes. But again, I was able to pivot through that. And then again, taking the mentality, we don't lose. We win and learn. Right. And even, I've gotten into rather pretty competitive pickleball, and I do my share of losing. And even now, and that's the point. And like you said, I hired someone to give me some lessons, and right away he was like, "You're at this certain level. I want to get to this level." He's like, a couple little things he saw I didn't realize I was doing, and now I'm trying to improve. So, but yeah, so that led me to here.
So basically, you obviously started as a paper boy and then kind of grew up from there. Then you said even when you started your business at age 27, you had some roadblocks and some situations. Yes. Now, how did you actually overcome that, Chris? Right.
So yeah, just like we talk about roadblocks and we talk about blind spots, and I know that's what you help people identify. I started my practice. And I would say the number one thing I didn't realize I was doing until, 7-8 years into it, was I started the practice and I ran it based on me running it, not operations running it. I didn't create those operations. I was in this, hey, I could do this way and I could do this that way. And I was pretty efficient at it, but I could grow, I could never scale. And not all growth is good growth, right? Just like not all leaders are good leaders. Just because you're a leader doesn't make you a bad leader, or just because you're a leader doesn't make you a good leader. So my big blind spot was I was kind of hero balling everything and not creating the processes and systems to run a business, which if you have a business and you have clients or customers you care about, yes, they might love you, but ultimately they want, you're putting them at risk if you're the only one that can help them. Because humans in general, we're not reliable. Even though, Curtis, you're a hard worker, I'm a hard worker, we're going to show up every day, give everything we have. But what if we get the flu? What if our family needs us? What if something happens that we can't be there? So my number one thing was systems. And I've had a few aha moments, but when I first started the practice, we were growing quite a bit. To make a long story short, I ended up in a situation where we had 7 offices, almost 30 people on our team, well over 3,000 clients.
Wow.
And I was completely burnt out. I was completely burnt out to the point where I just I wasn't being a good dad, wasn't being a good husband, wasn't being a good friend. I was being a hard worker, but not a smart worker.
Wow. So once you got to that point, Chris, what changed? I mean, you said you had to make a pivot.
Right.
And this is important for entrepreneurs to know and understand, is that number one, you can't be all things to every people and to everybody. And now you reached this plateau in your business, but your life was totally out of balance. So now how did you now
Right. Yeah, how did I do it?
Thing?
I had a couple aha moments. My number one aha moment of my life was my daughter, who just turned 15 on March 19th. March 19th, 2010. We already had a 1-year-old at that point. They're only 14 months apart. We go to the hospital. The people at the hospital knew us because they were just there 14 months ago.
Right.
And I brought my laptop to the hospital. And during my wife having our daughter, I probably knocked out between 18 and 20 tax returns. And I thought that was like, well, I'm pretty efficient. And It hit me like, what in the heck? You can't even truly enjoy your daughter's birth. Once it was go time, I put the laptop down, helped out, but then bam, I was back. So I'm like, what are you doing? What path am I going down? So as an entrepreneur, I think the mentality we have to take is that, and this is hard to do, right? It's hard to look in the mirror. Sometimes it's hard to jump on that scale. It's hard to do.
Right.
Look at your KPIs. Your business is going to run exactly how it's engineered to run. And you're the engineer. I had to look in the mirror and say, I just engineered a monster. And now I've got tons of people and households relying on me, to do this. That's really not healthy. How many people didn't take a day off during this entire process?
Right.
Let alone, that's not healthy. It's not healthy for anyone. So that was a big aha moment, and the pivot said, okay, I've got to change this. Now, as an entrepreneur, we have to remember that you can't, it took me at that point 7 years to build the business the way it was structured.
Right.
I'm not going to undo it all in a day. So at that point, I said, let's get through the next few weeks, get this April 15th deadline taken care of, and then I've got to start pivoting. I've got to change it. So, so I think sometimes entrepreneurs and business owners, we try to change too much too quickly and try to maybe figure out what are the 2-3 things that are really going to make a difference, and get those little wins. Because winning to me is contagious.
Right. It is. So now you're changing this business. You're going through these systematically kind of changing. So now you start to pivot. So is this what it has kind of come to now, how your business operates? So what's the difference now when you were in the hospital room, in the waiting room, when your daughter's being born, doing the computer, and now what's the difference?
Right.
So the audience can kind of see and understand the difference.
Absolutely. So for our pivot, as I said, you know what? We want deeper relationships with our clients. We want quality over quantity. I was also very cognizant that we've created a bunch of jobs. We're talking Detroit, Michigan in 2010. Remember, we had a recession. The city of Detroit went bankrupt. General Motors went bankrupt. So it wasn't like someone could just go out and get another job. I felt a great deal of responsibility. So we ended up pivoting, where we ended up moving towards a different model where it was really focused on tax advisory and strategy, and tax preparation was part of that. So in that case, sometimes as a business owner, we might have to. Sometimes it's hard to change this big hairy monster here. So what I did is I'm thinking, why don't we do this? Keep that big hairy monster there. We're going to transition that away. We're going to transition that somewhere, but let's just create a new service, a new division that does what I really want to do. Because when you are doing what you really love to do, you will shine.
Yes.
Now it's easier said than done, right? It took me
years
absolutely. To transition to now where I'm at. We have an amazing team. I realize that I'm more of a visionary than an operator.
Right.
And I had to get out of operations. That's not my special ability. So I had to get out of that and be willing to take steps backwards for leaps forward. I think that's one of the things. So then we got through that, really figured out, okay, what's best for everyone involved here. And to make a long story somewhat short, I ended up offboarding or transitioning 96% of our client base.
Wow.
But the cool thing is that we had 4 people on our team that were either CPAs or enrolled agents. And I said, look, I don't want you to be unemployed. You have what it takes to run your own book of business. Why don't you each take between 500 and 1,000 clients and just run with it? Just go with it. You've got this. I'm here to help you. It's going to be it'll be a transition. The clients will stick with you because they need someone else anyway. And it all were there some exceptions? Sure, but it all worked out. And these people are all still in business 15 years later. And,
Wow.
It worked out. So I realized that sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's hard because sometimes your clients and your customers look at you as their girl or their guy. And that's a hard thing to unravel. So sometimes you have to say, you know what? I couldn't unravel it for over 3,000 clients. So let's just move in that direction and have them start their own practices and still be part of our network, but they have their own book of business. And that was better for the clients anyway, because at that point, that freed me up to pivot into niching into helping real estate professionals and entrepreneurs, and ultimately made it so that my wife and I could relocate if we wanted to.
Wow. I know now your current model is more of a subscription model, right? And now, how did that work now? I mean, how do your current model, like you said before, you were the guy, and now you have more of a subscription model. So now, how does that work now, Chris?
Sure. Yeah. So for us now, we have a unique CPA firm. We've been doing subscription for about 12 years. So in that 2010 aha moment, it took 3 years to really kind of to unravel, I should say, or transition. But yes, over the last about 10 to 12 years, we've had exclusively a subscription model. And that subscription, here's the challenge when you're working with a CPA firm. There's typically, we've got an issue in the CPA world. And 75% of CPAs, and this is according to the AICPA, American Institute of CPAs, are going to retire or pass away in the next 15 years. So we have a labor shortage. And so we don't... And so advisory and that sort of stuff is becoming more important. So what we did is we said, okay, that's challenging. The other thing is, a lot of times you'll have someone that's an amazing tax professional. They could prepare a tax return really well. The next progression is, I'm going to start my own tax practice, and they don't know how to run a tax business or a CPA firm.
Okay.
So you could have someone that's an amazing dentist, but they don't know how to run a dental office, and it's a disaster operationally. So we have people that, they lack of communication is the number one driver for clients coming to our practice from their other CPAs or other CPA firm or tax professionals or enrolled agent are really maybe good at what they're doing, but they don't have good communication in their systems. Or 2, price. It's scary. So when we think, I don't want to throw attorneys under the bus, you're a CFP. So just like with many financial advisors now go to a fee-based model or AUM model. So it's very transparent with the costs. If we want our clients to be our partners, we have to be very transparent, and we don't want them to be afraid of communicating with us, emailing us, talking to us, setting up meetings. We also don't want them to feel nickel and dimed. So
Right,
what we
right,
said,
right.
let's put together a subscription model that includes all your tax preparation or tax compliance. We're going to include audit protection. So if they get examined by the IRS or a state, that's going to be part of their membership. We're taking out that fear factor of what's it going to cost.
Right.
We invented something called CPA Urgent Care that runs, we have some IP on that runs 3 days a week where clients can go in and meet with us face to face on demand in a private Zoom room. And that seems scary, but I got the idea from thinking about professor office hours. And most of our clients, the average interaction time in urgent care is 11 minutes. So a lot of CPAs, they can't figure out their capacity because they're having clients set up an hour-long meeting and only really needing to talk to them for 11 minutes. And your clients probably don't need to talk to you for an hour, So that's helped out a lot. So basically your tax compliance, unlimited communication. And we will reply to you within 1 business day for any text, email, phone call. If for some ungodly reason someone faxes us, I don't even know if we have a fax machine, then we would reply to that. But yeah, all those fear factors come into play, and then they get, and again, they get on my end. What I'm doing is they get a personalized tax planning. So when they have a question like, I'm thinking about a client that just asked me a question yesterday about a new vehicle.
Right.
Should I lease? Should I buy? Doesn't matter if it's 6,000 pounds. And because in the tax world, everything is situationally dependent, very similar to the financial advising world, you have to have that conversation. And then we've also created it's really great because we've created a ton of content, like our podcast, like the YouTube channel. And we say if we get the same question 3 times, we're making a video.
Right.
Because that means other people are asking. And once you really take away that factor and the client feels like they're working with you, then it makes life a lot easier. And now I have the opportunity, instead of having to put fires out all the time, is to basically create a fire in a good way, and say, look, let's look at this tax return. Let's look at your situation. And let's look forward. Tax planning is about looking forward. Tax preparation is about looking backwards. So let's look forward. And so, yeah, we've developed a process where we talk to, myself and one of the other ambassadors of the firm, we talk to potential clients way before they engage us to say, okay, just like with you, you want to make sure that you can help someone.
Yes.
Before they engage with you. And we do offer tax preparation now for the first time in 12 years if someone just needs a tax return prepared. But the real value is that tax planning and strategy and taking away those fear factors.
Wow, Chris. So how can people actually get in touch with you and your firm and kind of what you do, or now let people know exactly what your core offering is, so they can kind of get in touch with you?
Absolutely. The easiest thing to do would go to a very complicated website. It's 2025.tax. If you just go to that website and put a submission in, you will hear from me within 1 business day. And I like I said, I'm one of the ambassadors of the firm. So my role is to really make sure that I want to help guide people in the right direction. It's not always with our firm, but I want to guide them in the right direction. And it all comes back. It's very, I take being a certified public accountant very seriously. I feel like I have a duty to the public to help guide them in the right direction. And that's that. And if it's with us, great. If it's not with us, no problem. Sometimes I talked to someone yesterday that asked a lot of questions, and I said, here's a good thing. You can pay for a personalized tax plan. It's going to be $2,700, but every question you asked me is already on our YouTube channel for free. Just go to our YouTube channel and watch it. And instead of paying all this money, just hit subscribe. That's payment enough. And because because they didn't really, I couldn't save them, $10,000 to $15,000 immediately, but their questions were very valid, and I wanted to give them answers.
Wow. So that means, that tells me what type of person and type of man you are, Chris, is that you always want to add value. I think going all the way back to your to your paperboy days, where your mom says, look, son, make sure you ask the client exactly what they want so that you can give them what they want. And to me, that's what you're still doing today, is asking clients what they want and giving them what they want. Even if you can't give it to them, you make sure that they get what they need. That's what it's all about. I mean, to me, that's true dedication to your profession and true dedication to who you are as a man and as an entrepreneur, Chris. So what final words you'd like to leave with the audience?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think that my final words, especially if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, is that there's a power of collaboration. And even though I'm one of the most competitive people out there, maybe to a fault, I truly believe in collaboration over competition. I spend a lot of time talking to other tax professionals, even in my own niche. So if you're an entrepreneur, you might feel like you're on an island a lot. Okay. And, it's hard to have that separation of church and state or personal life. But understand that you're not alone. Build your personal board of directors, build your network, and don't be afraid to collaborate, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable and say, look, here are my blind spots. Here are my weaknesses, because as entrepreneurs, we want to be this strong figure, and we want to think that we have all the answers. It's powerful sometimes when let's say a client asks me a question I don't know the answer to. That's okay. You'd rather just say, you know what? That's a great question. I've never had this exact situation. We're going to get back to you with an answer. And don't be afraid of collaboration. Don't be afraid to use a coach, because like you said, there are blind spots because we can't see them.
Right.
Others can.
Right. What is interesting, because one of my podcast guests says you can't read the label when you're inside the jar.
Ooh.
Like,
I like that.
I'm like, wow, it just kind of blew my mind. I told her I was going to use it. And basically, think about it. I mean, if the instructions are outside the jar and you're inside the jar, it's hard to read the directions and instructions if you're inside the jar. And that's kind of where we are in the tax preparation and basically tax advising, tax consulting. People just don't know what they don't know. And you basically have lived it, you understand it, you have the power of collaboration. I think one of the other things you mentioned, I just want to say it out loud, following your passion. Just before you leave, just share with them, because you followed your passion and it led you to a very, really, really good place. So you have any final words on follow your passion, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it truly, you do have to follow your passion. I think that being in a situation where you're working somewhere that you just don't like, or in a career, that's not what you want to be. That's not where you want to be. And don't forget the passion, right? And just like my passion was helping people out, I found myself in so much deep in operations that I wasn't helping people out, and I deviated. So you could be a business owner and still following your passions, but your tasks are away from the passion. So continue to follow the passion. I think there's a famous quote that says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is essential.
All right. Thank you, Chris, man. Thank you for being on the show today. We also want to thank the listeners for kind of hanging in with us and listening to the words and to the encouragement that you actually gave all of us today. Guys, we want to always remember that success comes when you embrace what we call, or what I call, the legit mindset. That's basically you're always learning, growing, expanding, and transforming every day. Now, if this episode resonates with you and you are ready for a breakthrough and have some blind spots that's holding you back, please check the link below so that you can schedule a free clarity call. If you need to get in touch with Chris, he gave you the email address. He gave me the URL, and it's also going to be below. So check that out. If you need to have some tax questions, he's a tax strategist. He's a real estate expert. He's a tax educator. He's a real estate investor. All those guys things, and he's there for us to kind of give us those answers that we don't have. Always, the bottom line, we all want you to kind of unlock your full potential. That's why we're here. I'm Curtis McCullom. Make it a great day, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the show.